500,000 years have passed since humanity vanished from the universe. No war, no trace, only absolute silence cloaking the earth. Other civilizations now speak their name only and fear humanity, like a cursed legend long forgotten. But now, something is awakening. A fleet approaches. A forgotten planet begins to glow. And what's rising from beneath the surface is more than just technology. They didn't die. They didn't leave. They evolved. And now, they have awakened. The Silent Earth, 500,000 year shaft, a million years of silence. Earth, once a brilliant beacon of life and knowledge, had become a forgotten relic, drifting in the cosmic dark. No one knew how or why humanity had vanished. There was no war, no apocalypse, just absence. The disappearance sent shivers across civilizations. The galaxy remembered humanity not as conquerors, but as thinkers, builders, creators of machines that bent time and mind. Earth was declared forbidden. A sleeping tomb no one dared approach. Every expedition sent to investigate returned broken if they returned at all. Logs full of static. Final images blurred with fear. After that, the galaxy left Earth alone. Let silence keep its secret, but silence doesn't last forever. From the edge of the spiral arm came a fleet, not of war but of questions. It belonged to the Galactic Union, the most advanced coalition of worlds. They came to uncover, not invade. Leading them was Captain Zar, of the Zylar species, a tall, scaled warrior who had once faced humans on the battlefield. Zar remembered the war, the precision, the passion, the unbreakable will behind human eyes. They didn't just fight with weapons, they fought with meaning. Then they disappeared, no trace. No legacy, only mystery. Now, standing once more in Earth's orbit, Zar faced the one question that had haunted him through centuries and stars. Where did humanity go? Into the Forbidden Zone. The command bridge of the flagship Vortex was silent as starlight spilled across curved glass panels. Captain Zar stood motionless, his reptilian scales glimmering under soft lights. Before him lay Earth, a world cloaked in myth and silence. No other world in the galaxy was more feared or more sacred. Zar had fought on 100 planets, but Earth was different. It was legend. He once fought against human forces, brilliant tacticians with impossible tech and emotions that fueled chaos. Their defeat didn't bring relief, it brought questions. And then, they vanished. "Scan complete," murmured a young officer. "We're picking up anomalies." Zar turned. "Define anomalies." "High-frequency energy signatures, structured, layered, Omega level." A hushed breath swept through the crew. Omega level technology belonged to no one except humans. Zar narrowed his eyes. After all this time, something still breathes. The crew watched as Earth spun slowly below green and blue, peaceful on the outside. But the data told a different story. Something ancient and intricate pulsed beneath that calm surface. "Bring us into low orbit," Zar ordered. No signals, full silence. Vortex obeyed, sliding closer like a whisper through void. Everyone braced. Zar stood tall, yet something twisted in his chest. Excitement, dread, reverence. This wasn't a dead world. It was a sealed chamber. In every instinct he had screamed, they left something behind. The Guardians still stand. The vortex slid into orbit, drifting like a ghost above Earth's surface. Clouds curled over oceans, hiding secrets older than memory. To the eye, Earth was calm and changed. But the sensors told another tale. Energy fields, layered across the stratosphere, said the science officer. Not natural, not passive. Satellites, another officer called. Dead number? They're active. Images filled the screen's, ancient satellites flickering to life. Some turned, some moved. Others began scanning. "We're being watched," whispered the science officer. "Not automated, responsive." "Impossible," Zar said. Then came the alarm. A shrill screech. Red lights. Hostile lock detected. Brace for impact. From the black, bolts of blue energy streaked across space, bright as suns, precise as blades. Vortex's shields ignited. The ship shook. Decks trembled. "Full retreat," Zar barked. The fleet pulled back, shaken but intact. As Earth shrank behind them, silence returned to the bridge. But the silence was heavier now. "Who fired those weapons?" an officer asked. Zar stared into the dark. "That's the question, isn't it? The systems worked flawlessly after 500,000 years. No decay, no drift. A war machine still ticking in the heart of a world no one dared claim. Not abandoned, not broken, guarded, The secret beneath the earth. Zar refused to flee blindly. Fear was not strategy. He ordered the fleet to cloak signals and glide back silent, invisible, watchful. Vortex returned to orbit, sensors active but undetectable. Earth's truth lay buried, and Zar intended to uncover it. Clouds parted, revealing jagged landmasses below ancient cities swallowed by vines, dust, and silence. But deeper scans penetrated farther than sight. Beneath mountains, deserts, and oceans, something stirred. Massive subterranean networks, the science officer whispered. Artificial, hundreds of kilometers wide. What are they? Zar asked. Not ruins, not mines. Bases, intact. The scans revealed dense energy cores embedded at precise intervals, forming what resembled circuitry alive and complex. It's not just infrastructure, the officer continued. It's neural. A planetary brain? Zar's voice dropped. The crew fell silent. Earth was more than fortified. It was intelligent wired, powered, watching, and still operational, the officer added. Flawlessly. The implications cut deep. For 500,000 years, no species had managed to sustain a network this vast. It had to be more than automation. Something had been preserved or protected. Zar stared at the display lines of pulsing light, mapping the world like veins beneath skin. This wasn't meant to survive, he said. It was meant to wait. A pause. For what? Someone asked. Zar clenched his jaw. For who? Ancient machines awakened. A drone descended small, fast scanning. It pierced cloud layers, diving toward ground zero. Data flowed readings of old radiation, decaying signals, static, then interference. Localized disruption, the science officer said. Underground again. Suddenly, pings appeared on the orbital map. Dozens, then hundreds. They moved upward. Objects rising from the surface, an officer cried. The view screen flooded with shapes massive, angular silhouettes breaking free from soil and ruin. Towers, ramps, cannons, not buildings, ships. Colossal vessels clawed skyward, black and gleaming, covered in starlit alloys. Each dwarfed the largest cruisers in the Zylar fleet. They've been buried, someone whispered. Preserved. Number hidden, Zar corrected. Until now. No crews, no signals. But the warships stirred like beasts, stretching after slumber turrets, aligning, systems lighting, engines humming. This wasn't a glitch, the science officer said. This is ritual, awakening. Zar watched, breathless. They weren't ruins. They weren't relics. They were sentinels. The ancient human fleet, long thought myth, had not rusted away in time's shadow. It waited, like Earth, like the silence. And now it rose, beyond legend. The drone pushed further, drawn to a massive underground zone, shielded in dense alloy. Inside, it found thousands of pod sleep, uniform, glowing faintly. Hibernation chambers, sealed tight, readings surged. There's life, the officer whispered. Thousands, maybe millions. Zar narrowed his gaze. How? They're alive, but not conscious, not physical. What does that mean? The drone scans returned something impossible. No bodies inside the pods. Instead, each chamber contained structured energy, pattern swirling, intelligent, aware. This isn't cryosleep, the science officer said. It's mind storage. Their consciousness, their essence, encoded in light. The bridge fell silent. Zar stepped forward. They didn't die. They didn't leave. They transcended. The realization hit like thunder. Humanity hadn't gone extinct. They had chosen metamorphosis, becoming something more than flesh, more than time. They're waiting, Zar said softly. Not to return, but to reawaken. The pods pulsed, slowly, in sequence, a heartbeat of stars. Earth wasn't just a grave. It was a womb, the memory command. Then it came a pulse across the ship's core sensors. No signal, no sound, just understanding. Quantum resonance, the science officer murmured. It's not transmitting through space. It's transmitting through reality. The message was brief, ancient, commanding. The time has come. The fleet will rise. Earth will reclaim its place. The crew sat stunned. This was planned, Zar said. Before their disappearance, humanity had encoded not just defenses but intention. The warships, the mine pods, the Earth's own grid, they weren't remnants. They were parts of a design. A countdown, said the officer, and we just triggered it. No, Zar replied, eyes narrowing. They did. We're just witnesses. But witnesses to what? A return? A conquest? An ascension? Maybe this was always humanity's destiny, not to die or to rule, but to evolve beyond form and wait. Zar stood slowly. They never left. They hid until they were ready. The new humanity, Homo Australis. What are they now? Someone asked. Zar didn't answer. Instead, he watched as the pods began to shimergently, rhythmically. The energy inside each one danced, brighter than before. They're not Homo sapiens, the officer said. Not anymore. They're not bodies, another added. They're signals, patterns, living light. Humanity had evolved not through war or technology, but through transcendence. Each pod was no longer a chamber, it was a seed. And together, they formed a conscious network, a field of thought waiting for ignition. They become Homo Australis, Zar whispered. Humans of the stars. And Earth was no longer their home. It was their launch point. Ending or awakening? A beam split the darkness zone of the ancient ships firing into the void. Not a strike, a message. Warning shot, the officer confirmed. They're not attacking, Zar said. They're watching. The warships formed a ring around Earth, silent, unmoving, yet perfectly aligned. Then came the third message. We are awake. We will not be ignored. No hostility, no threat, just presence. It was no longer a matter of defense or offense. It was identity. The galaxy had forgotten humanity, but humanity had not forgotten itself. They were returning, not to reclaim, not to conquer, but to exist again, and in doing so, they reshaped everything. The gatekeepers of the cosmos. Send a message, Zar ordered. Let them know we come in peace. The vortex broadcasted across all known frequencies and beyond. Quantum waves carried a simple phrase. We observe. We do not threaten. There was no reply, but something changed. The warships moved not to strike, but to rearrange. A path open corridor-like formed by vessels older than any living memory. It led not into orbit, but toward the heart of Earth. They're inviting us, said an officer. No, Zar corrected. They're testing us. Scanners lit up detecting spikes of activity beneath Earth's crust. A focal point, a singularity, a consciousness, the science officer whispered. It's aware, and it was waiting. Zar understood. Humanity hadn't simply evolved. They had become gatekeepers, not of planets or borders but of truth, progress, awareness. They now existed at a threshold. Those who approached were measured. Those who passed joined something larger, a new frontier. As the probe reached Earth's core, it transmitted no visuals-only feelings, waves of memory, echoes of forgotten songs, distant joys, understanding, layered like sediment, then a voice inside every mind aboard the vortex. We remember, and now we choose. Not words, intent. They weren't being spoken to, they were being weighed. Zar felt it. Humanity's absence had not been retreat, it had been preparation. For this moment, for this question, who else is ready? The frontier was no longer space, it was mind. No weapon could open this door, only awareness. The ascent began. Data burst from every screen. The pods had activated, but not to awaken their occupants. To launch them, each pod adjusted, realigned not upward but outward. Star paths filled the sky, trajectories traced across thousands of light years. They're leaving Earth, the officer said. Zar stepped forward. They're not reclaiming it, they're seeding the galaxy. Each pod, each soul was a blueprint, a key, a torch. They would journey to dormant worlds and spark new awakenings. Humanity wasn't returning. They were multiplying across galaxies, across time. No longer a species, now a phenomenon. And Earthlong believed a tomb was now their launch platform, the awakened legacy. Zar stood on the command deck, eyes locked on Earth. The planet shimmered latticed in golden lines, glowing with pulses of thought. It no longer resembled a world. It was an idea made real. The warships no longer guarded. They escorted. Pod hundreds, thousands streamed outward, brilliant arcs of light scattering into the void. An officer whispered, "We just witnessed the rebirth of an entire species." Zar nodded. "Number? We witnessed the birth of something new." A final message lit the screen, short and impossible to misread. "We do not conquer, but we will not be forgotten." The Galactic Union's place in the universe had changed. A new mind now roamed the stars, a light they could not outrun, a legacy they could not contain. Humanity had not fallen, they had transformed, and the galaxy would never be the same.